Welcome, Lisa and Helen, your community fundraisers for the Alzheimer's Society, and McCartney's are delighted to be supporting your charity this year. So we hear a lot about dementia and Alzheimer's on the radio, in the press. What is Alzheimer's? What is dementia, and are there different types?
Yeah, definitely. So dementia, we'd say, is the umbrella term. So that's a set of symptoms, which might include memory loss or problems with your perception, amongst other things. Alzheimer's disease is the most common type of dementia, or cause.
Yeah.
But that's just one type. There's hundreds of other different types. So there's also vascular dementia, which is more of a step-like progression, whereas Alzheimer's disease is more gradual. But there's hundreds of different types. There's also
frontal dementia.
Yeah.
So you talked about sort of the common symptoms, memory loss. I mean, is it just older people who suffer from dementia?
No. Absolutely not.
Really? Because
no.
that's
a real misconception.
Isn't it? Very common.
Yes, it is, yes.
Yeah, you get people in their 20s diagnosed with dementia, although that's more rare and uncommon. It definitely does happen, sadly.
Yeah.
Gosh, and we think of it as an aging thing.
Yeah, it's definitely, and it's not hereditary either, and a lot of people have that as a misconception as well. Dementia can hit anybody.
Right.
And dementia really does devastate lives. It devastates it has a whole impact on a lot of people. It's not just the person that has dementia, it's the family and the care and support around that as well. There's so many different types of dementia. There's well over 100 types of dementia, and no dementia is the same as another person. So you can revert back to childhood times, or it could be that you are a really outgoing person, but then you become really quiet and withdrawn.
Yeah.
So it really does affect people in so many different ways.
Yeah. Gosh. But it's important to remember though as well that it also affects the carers and the family as well.
Absolutely.
It's not really hard.
Yeah, it's not just the person with dementia, it really does devastate everyone around them. And so thankfully we're able to provide support to carers and families as well. We have our CRISP service. So that's,
I like CRISP.
That's our carer information support group. And so that's kind of local groups again. Carers can come together with a dementia advisor so they can share the most up-to-date information, best practices, and it's just a nice way for them to get support from one another as well, kind of peer support.
Yeah, because you'd feel very on your own, I would imagine.
And absolutely, and I think that is something that we need to realise, that the person that has dementia is still that same person. They have a brain disease, and that is what's causing them to act the way that they do.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest fears is isolation, and that is something that as the Alzheimer's Society do not want to happen. We are here for anybody that's affected by dementia. And we don't want anyone to be isolated, and that was one of the reasons that we created Dementia Friends, so that we can spread this awareness and raise this awareness of the little things that you can do to help people. If you spot signs, how we can support them, and the helpline's always there. We've also obviously got the website, which has got stacks of information on and fact sheets. We'll definitely recommend people that...
I had a look at that actually, and I learnt that it's not aging, that people say, oh, well, it's just old age, and they've put a tag on it, but actually that's not the case. It is a disease, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I think,
but
it's the fear. I think people are frightened.
It's the misconception,
and that's the thing, it's the stigma that's attached to it, and
I think it is.
That's what we want to try and,
break that stigma, don't we? And also, stress can have some of the same symptoms. So, what we stress is, please don't worry too much.
Don't think immediately.
Yes. Contact your GP.
Yeah.
Make an appointment. He will do an assessment on you, and he will direct you to the right people, because it may just be that you have stress.
Yes.
So it's really important at the very early stages that we get this diagnosis so that we can help people that are living with dementia.
So what practical support do you offer to people who are living with dementia, or those people that are caring for people living with dementia?
We aim to help everybody who has Alzheimer's disease or dementia. So we have our National Dementia Helpline as a first point of call. We have our dementia advisors who can offer information and guidance and support maybe on daily life with dementia or financial or legal issues even potentially. We also have Talking Point, which is our online forum, which is really nice. So it means that people with similar situations can go on there and talk to others.
And sort of share their
experience. That
experiences.
definitely helps.
Exactly
Yes.
that. But then we also do have other local services. So we'll have things like the dementia cafes that people hear about.
Yes.
And then also befriending services. So we have side-by-side service, which is a really special service in my eyes. So it pairs a person with dementia with a trained volunteer. So it enables them to get out and about and carry on doing the things that they love the most. Maybe it's going to the pub, going for a walk, gardening. We have quite a nice example actually. So in my patch, there's a lady who has dementia, and her husband had been really struggling to communicate with her, because often when you've got dementia you can revert back to your first language, which people don't often realise.
Really?
Yes, and her first language was actually Finnish. So they'd never communicated through Finnish. They spoke in English the entire time they'd known each other.
Yeah.
And she developed dementia and reverted back to Finnish. And we've actually been able to pair. What do you do exactly?
Yeah.
He was in absolute despair because he couldn't communicate to his wife when he was only trying to help her.
Yeah.
But we've been able to pair her with a volunteer who speaks Finnish in North Wales, which is just...
That's extraordinary.
It is.
It's life-changing.
Exactly.
How many people suffer with dementia or are likely to? I mean, how common is it?
Well, currently we have over 850,000 people in the UK living with dementia. That is set to rise to over 1 million in the year 2021. So
Why is that?
It is on the rise.
Is that to do with an ageing population, or is that to do with the disease itself? Or that we're recognising it more?
Yeah, the thing is with dementia, there's so many undiagnosed cases as well. So even though them figures, what I've just said, they're not ultimately correct, because there are people out there that haven't had that diagnosis.
On the radar, don't
and that's often due to stigma and fear.
It is, yeah,
Sure
definitely.
it is, yeah.
But all the information is on the website for any information and regarding statistics, and I think it's just a case of well-being now. People are starting to take more care of themselves, which enables us to for our health to be more healthy than what it was before. And there are drugs as well that can prolong. I mean, Alzheimer's disease is progressive. There's no cure for it.
Can you kind of slow it down with medication, or?
It can be slowed down with medication, with the right medication, but it depends how. That's why it's so important to get the diagnosis early, so that we can, start that treatment.
Yeah. So what can we do to get involved to help the charity? What can our staff do?
Oh, there's so much you can do, so much fundraising. It's so much fun, and that is the main thing. I think what you want to do is engage staff to understand the cause, but also get involved in it.
Yeah, we want you to enjoy it more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got our national flagship events, so we've got Cupcake Day, which is in June.
Right.
That raised 1.4 million last year, and we're really hoping to hit 2 million this year.
Yeah.
So if you could get engaged there, everyone loves to have a cake.
I do.
So I'm sure that will go down really well in the offices.
Yeah.
We've got our memory walk, which is a great way to engage, either volunteering in it or organising your own. I think it'd be brilliant if you could all get together and do that.
You might be able to unite all the offices and
It's a good idea.
Absolutely. Save money on the Christmas party.
Yes.
I'm only joking, Steph.
Or do both. Let's do both. Yeah.
And then there's also organise your own things, which are really good fun. So it may be that an individual wants to do something on their own. So it could be that they want to put on a coffee morning, or they may want to run a marathon, or they may want to climb a mountain or bike ride. So there's so much that could be involved. And if you visit the website and go under how to help and donate, there's lots and lots of fundraising tips on there. So, but we're always here to speak to if anybody needs any advice on anything.
Yeah, just give us a ring.
Yeah, definitely.
Lovely, thank you. Well, we look forward very much to working with you this year.
Well, we're really, really honoured to be chosen by yourselves, and you know, we're here to support anybody with any questions. And what I would say is, if anybody's worried about anybody, or if you're worried about yourself, please visit our website, because on there it's got so much information. It's also got a care line that people can call as well. So please use that, because that's what we're here for. We're here to try and find a cure for dementia, and you know, just
to help anybody
to help
with any
anybody.
concerns.
And that goes to carers, to just to anybody that needs that bit of support.
Yeah. Brilliant, that's great. Well, thank you very much for coming along.
Thank you.
And we look forward to a
the next-
successful year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.